So in this video, we are going to learn Scramble text, which is with GSAP. So if I go down, you could see how they revealed one by one, and then not one by one, but basically because they are at the same place, they revealed together. But if they were placed on different part of your website, they will only reveal when it's in the viewport. Then if we go down, we have second one, which is basically just an effect where you hover on it and it just does this effect and goes back. Then we have the next one, which is every time I hover, it switches to different text, like it goes from one text to another, second to another. It's usually good for some like simple effect on your website. Then if I go down, we have one more, which is called hover to keep scrambling. So as long as I keep my mouse over, you could see it keep scrambling, and if I remove it, it goes to normal. But you could see I've written here that it's a bit glitchy, so only use it if you're okay with the animation. Because it's simply because how GSAP works, like the scramble text works, that I was not able to make it work nicely, but I still kept it in case you want to use it. So the issue is simple, that if you keep hovering on it, you could see the text is slowly getting smaller and smaller, and that's kind of annoying. And you could see that for one frame you could actually see the full text around here. So if I keep hovering, you could see that it shows that hover to keep scrambling text for like one frame or something. It basically happens because of this, like every time it repeats, it needs to like set it to the default text. That's just how scramble text works. So again, didn't really have an option to do it, so just kept it that way. Then we have this one, which is scramble and switch text sequence. Basically it will keep switching from one text to another, and you could keep it like any number of stuff that you want. You could see it keeps switching from one line to another, and you could set to any number of things. For example, it goes to this text, then it goes to this text, then it goes to this text, and you could have multiple of this one. Again, the smiley face does not show. I don't know why, but again, it does not show. So you could see it disappears. Now one more thing is, first I will actually show you guys what the basic of this scramble text is. After that, we will just simply copy the code which is available on my website and then just paste it, and I'll simply explain to you that hey, you can change this, change that, and all that stuff. But because the main scramble text allows you to go from one text to another, so maybe you want to have a text, and as it goes into your screen, it basically switches from one text to another, simply like this, this effect where it goes to one text to another. But I'll explain to you how this basically works, like the most basic stuff, and then I'll do all these interactions that I've given with all the code and how to use it. So right now I'm in a page where I've simply just added a container and nothing else. I will be using the heading widget, and there's a reason I want to show the basic stuff, because in the new Elementor version, which is going to be version 4, it is currently in alpha, so we cannot use it, it's experimental. But when that comes, you will need to do some changes regarding the code and all, and obviously I will provide you like the new code when version 4 comes up. But till then we will use this, and I'll also explain how to like choose it yourself in case you want to know. So I just have a text around here. I'm just going to give it like a white color and then call this as, this is the first line or something. Okay, so we got something, and we need to give it a CSS class. Now this is the most basic code, and this basic code would be available in the comment section because I cannot paste it in description. But check the pinned comment, and this one would be the most basic one. And then for the bigger one, bigger effects, or everything would be on my website, so that you could just copy paste. So let's copy this and then add it in an HTML widget and paste it. Obviously nothing's going to happen. That's simply because we haven't added the CSS class. So let's copy this CSS class, DM scramble text, and then add it around here. Okay. Again, in this code, I think I've set it to scramble text. Okay, yeah, I've set here to scramble text. So maybe I'll change it here, or I'll probably change the one that I'm giving in the description with a different, like something like single or dash, something like that. Okay, just check in the description what I've used, because so that it does not conflict with the one that is provided in here. So I'm just adding this CSS class, and suddenly you will see that if I play, You could say it is doing the effect directly, and it basically just went from its original text to the same text. There's a reason why it worked directly, because in the code you could see there's one option called DM Scramble text Elementor heading title, and this is what's going to be different when version 4 comes up. For example, if I go in here and do right click inspect, this one would show us all the HTML code, CSS code. If I click on here, again, even if you don't understand, doesn't matter, but I think still if you want to know what I'm doing, just watch this. So what actually happens is when you use an heading widget, for some reason Elementor uses like lots of div. So for example, so it uses lots of div. So this div is one, think div as a container, okay? So this is like one div, one container, and inside of this there's another, and there's the text then, you could see. And the problem is, for one singular text there are 3 divs, which is useless. It's not good for your website speed. So usually you just want like this one single line, and that's what they are going to fix in version 4. But for this version, which is version 3 that I'm using, what I've simply done is, you could say we have given this DM Scramble text because we copied it around here, right? DM Scramble text. But the problem is that our text, which is like this is the first line, does not exist in here. It actually exists in like a child element of it. And by default, Elementor adds like its own CSS class called Elementor heading title. So all we are simply saying here is that check the DM Scramble text, and inside of this check the Elementor heading title. Okay, so that's all I'm simply doing, because our text is actually available in this container, right? And we want to change the text that is available in that container, which is why the code is like this. And there's a reason why I'm explaining, because in future when you use like version 4, it would not work directly. You will need to use like whatever the CSS class is used. It's probably going to be just like one singular one singular text like this, because they are going to remove the this divs, multiple divs, and make it to just be one. So in future, if you're watching in version 4, then make sure to like remove it. Now let's get to the main stuff. So I did some changes to the code, and what basically this means is that if I copy this in here, it says like go from the original text to the original text. So we are just doing the same thing. We are just taking the original text and going to the original text. This is the most basic effect, where I don't know why would you even use this, going from original to original. Maybe you just want to show some interaction. Totally okay, you could do that. But now what if I want to make this go to this text, like different text? Well, you just need to go into this quotation mark and type like this is the second line. Okay, let's go there and see. And you could see it turned to this is the second line. Let me also try adding a like a height around here, and let's do preview. Everything looks normal. Let's go slowly down, slowly, and you could see it was showing the first line and then it turned to second line. And maybe you don't want this to happen like so quick. So what you could do is you can go to the code and be like, right now it is set to 90%, which is basically like 90% from the top, but let's make it 50%, okay, in the code, so that it only changes when it's in the middle of the screen. Or let's make it 60, just so that it's not perfectly in the middle. See, nothing's changing. If I go up around here, it starts to change to the next text. Obviously, if you want, you could actually type here markers true, and this would basically like do comma markers true, and this would basically start showing you where the scrolling starts works, when scrolling start ends. I actually have a dedicated video called Animate Like a Pro, which basically goes over all this details. So you could see I can actually visualize it now, and then when this two touches, it starts. And then you obviously have option of toggle actions, which is actually taught in the Animate Like a Pro second part, where if you want to play it again, reverse it again when you go like back, something like this. Okay, for me, I'm just going to make it false for the markers. Now what are the other values that we use to do some changes? So in our characters, this is what is actually shown when it is switching from like it's showing this encryption effect. So this is just random text that I've typed. If you let's say type XO something like this, so let's say if I go in here and type XO, let's preview. Actually we don't need to type it so many times. We just need to type it once, like X and O. There's no point in typing like 5 different times. And if I go there, you could see, now you could see it is not actually working, and I believe because I actually have to add it in the 2. So I don't know, maybe let's just copy this much. I'll just fix it in the code, okay, for you guys, so that you don't have to do it multiple times, or you don't need to copy paste basically. Let's try doing it now and see if it does any changes. Yep, there we go. Now you could see it shows XO, something like that. And then if you go to Scramble text, you actually have options called uppercase, lowercase, upper and lowercase. So if you just go and let's say copy lowercase and then paste it in here with the quotation marks, let's do preview. Let's go down, and you could see it's now using lowercase letters. So you don't need to type A to Z completely like all the alphabets. You could just type, you know, this stuff. Next thing we need to understand is the reveal delay, which is this one. So in the reveal delay, in the 2 section, I will do is make it, I don't know, like 3, but because, you know, before that I'll just make this duration bit 10 so that I can actually show you what's actually happening. So we'll do reveal delay after this, but I just change the duration to be 10. Let's go down, and you could see it is taking like 10 seconds to do the whole reveal. You would say it's still not revealed. It took 10 seconds to reveal. So let me make it 5, and then we will do reveal delay of 3 around here. Now what is reveal delay? Reveal delay is basically, it will keep scrambling text. It will keep showing like all these random letters for the 3 seconds, and then it will start doing the changes. So you could see for the 3 seconds it's not even started to show the text, and after the 3 seconds it started to show the text. You always have to make sure that the reveal delay is less than the duration, else it would just make it look weird, okay? Then we have a speed. I'll make it 0.8, and basically what this would do is just the speed of the letters changing. It's not the speed of reveal, it's just the speed of, you know, the letters changing every frame or second, I don't know. Like this again, you could see how fast it is changing right now, and after 3 seconds it basically revealed. Then we have delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but, let's say if I do space in here, that's the only option I believe, is if you do space in here, it will reveal word by word instead of doing, you know, letter by letter. So if I go down, you could see it revealed word by word instead of letter by letter. So let's just make it empty. I'll also remove this much code. I believe this is like useless for this one. But then you're like, why are you even showing me this stuff? Why are you not showing me this one, which basically loops through everything and does it for us? There's one simple reason. That is, if I want this text to turn into different text, which is like this is the second line text, I have to use this method. I cannot use the loop, because what loop will do is it will apply the same effect to every single one of them. We don't want that, because if you look in the section in here, which is this block page, everything in here would basically reveal the same way, which is basically, you could see in the code that it is empty actually, and then it basically turns to whatever the text you have written in here. So you cannot choose like, hey, I want to turn this into different text, I want to turn this into different text, I want to turn this into different text. If you want to do that, you will need to copy this and then basically duplicate it, like duplicate, not full. You don't need to do like copy this much, you only need this once, but you will need to copy this and then duplicate this, and maybe you have a different text this time. Like let's do like DMmotionarts, and then I'm going to give it -2. So now because we have used like -2 in here, all we simply need to do is change the code a little bit. That is, in the CSS class, hey, use the -2. In this one, that hey, GSAP2, use the -2. And then this here, this stuff, also use the -2. This one is basically for the viewport area. Let it only show when it's in the 60% around here. And then you could basically type like anything in here. Let's copy and let's paste it around here, and then let's do preview. And you would see that now we have different options for both of the different text. So that's why we cannot just loop through everything and give them all of them like the same effect. Let's see, and you could say turn to different, it turned to different. If you have a little bit of JavaScript knowledge, you know that maybe if you have like lots of different texts and you have set everything to be different, but you don't need to go in each one of them and then change this value. Let's say your client said that, hey, it's way too fast, make it like slower. Then instead of going like 8 in here and then doing 8 in here, if you know JavaScript, you could simply just create something called a constant like this. So let's call constant, and we can call it as like, I'll call it like DM duration equal to 8 like this. And then I can simply just copy this and then add it around here like this. So if you have multiple stuff, you could basically just give it like same duration like this text, and then all you need to do is change this value and it will do for every single one of them which uses this variable. That's like very basic JavaScript, but again you could just do it manually in each one of them too. Now that we have learned the most basic stuff, I'm just going to speed through everything that I've added basically. So the first one I'm not actually going to show, but all I'm saying is that just use this CSS class, and everything that I've told you is the same. Like it basically just goes from empty to the original text, and because it is looping, it will automatically take whatever the text that you have added in here, and it will basically just start from empty and go there. A quick example would be just pasting it in here and choosing this CSS class and then do preview. You could see nothing showing, and then it starts from empty. So maybe you want to have a text reveal, and then this one would be good option because it basically reveals from nothing. And all you need to do is every single text that you have, or every single text that you want to have this effect, you just need to give this same CSS class. Because I've made it loop and every one of them has the same effect, we don't need to create like copies of this stuff. We can just use one of this one, and it will basically work for every single text that uses DM Scramble text CSS class. Next one is like hover me for interaction. Let's copy this code. Let me paste it. The CSS class is called DM Scramble text interact. Let me paste it in here. Now this is the same. If you have multiple texts, you could give all of them the same CSS class and it will basically work. Everything is same, like you already know, like reveal delay, speed, delimiter, everything that I've already told you. So let's do preview. You could see it already works easily. Let's do the next one, which is basically switching from one text to another every time you do scroll. So let's copy this text, let's paste it, and then the CSS class would be this one, DM Scramble text interact switch. I know, big name, but again it's better to make it something like this so that if any other plugin is using something, it would not like conflict with it. Now this one is again the similar one, because we cannot loop from every one of them and have like different text in a single loop. So you will need to keep duplicating this one for if you want like two different texts but they all change to different one. For example, if I have this one basically turns to, let's say, DMmotionarts, and this one basically turns to, let's say, Facebook. We cannot just have one single code, you need to duplicate it. Just copy this, go into ChatGPT and say that, hey, I'm already using this code, give me a duplicate, and just tell them that to use suffix -2. So if you go in ChatGPT and tell them that, hey, I want to use this again in my code, but this time I want to just add -2 for my next text. Now what this basically does is, in the code, you could see I have set it to mouse enter. It is actually set to loop too. So let's just try with loop also. It is, even though it's set to loop, the effect would be same. So let me just type something in here. I think this would not be good for looping, but let's see. Now if you go in here, you could see it says new target switch, new text switch, sorry. Here you could type anything, okay? So I'll type like and like subscribe. Let's do preview and see how this looks. Let's go down. If I hover on it, it turned to this stuff. If I hover on it, it turned to this stuff. If I hover on here, it turns to its original stuff. But you could see that we cannot change we cannot have individual different text for this one and this one, or both of them use the same stuff. So even though I've set this to loop, you cannot actually choose different stuff unless you go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, create a duplicate and make sure to have like different CSS classes and variables. Again, everything that I've told you, like characters, reveal delay, everything is same as previous one. Just you need to go in here, like choose the different text, that's all. Now this one is also very same. I don't know if I should show you guys, but all it's the code actually did with ChatGPT because it was like very confusing why scramble text was not working. Again, same thing, just copy it and use this CSS class. It also works for every single one. So if you have multiple of them, because the effect is simple, right? You just keep hovering on it and it goes to the original text. So it's same effect for everywhere. So there's no reason for me to do have like different one of them. We can just loop through every single text. Just copy this text and use this CSS class. Okay, it is a bit buggy, so I also don't really want to explain this much, and also use ChatGPT to do some of the stuff because it wasn't just working. Then we have scramble and switch text sequence. Let's copy this, let's paste in our code, and let's use DM scramble text sequence around here. Now there's one big thing that you need to worry about in this stuff. That is, the last text that you use should be the same as the original text that you are using around here, and you need to manually type, okay, around here. So for me, it would be this is the first line, because when it switches from last to first, it would feel like there was like no change, and it would feel like there was a loop. But if you use like different text, then you would kind of see like a glitch happening basically. And the code is very simple. It uses GSAP timeline, which I've already explained in, I think it's in like animate like a pro 1 stuff, and it is basically set to restart every time it completes. What we are doing is the same stuff that I already shown, but because it's a timeline, it does this first, and then it does this second, then it does this third after like one another. So everything that you are seeing in here is same except the delay around here. So what this delay means is that how long it should stay stay visible before switching again. So right now what happens is that if I show you around here where I've already added code, it stays for 2 seconds and then it changes, you could see. So that's the same stuff that is around here. So it stays for 2 seconds and then changes. Obviously there's duration, that I've already explained, reveal delay, speed, and all that stuff that I've already explained. But let's say if you want to add more stuff, I would say copy this much part, this much, okay, before this stuff, and then paste it like this, okay, and then it would basically keep adding one more, another, and another like this. And all you need to do is change the text which is available in here. Just make sure the last original text that you're using is same. Another thing, you cannot actually use the same CSS class for multiple different text. Go into ChatGPT and say that, hey, I'm already using this timeline and I'm already using this code. Create a copy of it with different variables so that it doesn't conflict with me. Or you could just say that add a suffix -2 or 2 after this, and it will basically create one for you which would have like -2. So for the next text that you add, you would basically add -2 CSS class. And yeah, that's all. Just like copy paste. I've already done the code. The code is like very basic for this one. You could say it is switching, again switching, it is also switching, and then you could say if I added like let's say a different text, okay, this is the last line or something, you would kind of see why I said to not have like different text at the end. Let's see. So this is the first line, this is the new line, consider subscribing, and then it should be this is the last line, but it suddenly turns to the first line because again it's simply just as soon as it finished, it's trying to restart it. So just make sure the last text is the same as whatever the original text is around here. So I know I went a bit faster for this text, all this stuff, but everything is same, like there's no difference. It's just reveal delay and all that stuff, and just use ChatGPT to create duplicates. That's all you have to do. Everything that I have done is already explained in the first part where I showed the basics of it. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Like, subscribe.